You know, many will ask, am I accurate about we're presently experiencing days that are the tribulation days? If you look at the experiences of what we're going through, to use that word twice in the same paragraph, the tornadoes and the political upheaval that's happening and the wars and rumors of wars with China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, and Russia with Ukraine, and what's happening in Europe as well and here in America, the breakdown of the Constitution and democracy that America will never enjoy again. That democratic state, constitutional rights are now gone. We'll see where we go from here. But some of you will remember 14 years ago, God gave me the name for Barack Hussein Obama. God gave him a biblical name of the long-legged Mac Daddy. Some of you will remember that. It was picked up by Howard Stern. Most news channels carried it. Newspapers carried it. The Urban Dictionary finally decided to let it become a part of the urban development of languages, of a new language that was created, the long-legged Mac Daddy. And so it is. But God also spoke to me 5 years ago, about Donald John Trump and named him Tribulation Trump, that he is the trigger of the tribulation. If you're wondering why there's so many people so blindly and cult-like following him, they have no choice. God has taken away from those people that follow Trump all reasoning abilities and infused them with the digestion and the acceptance of lies as the way out of their pandemic or their difficulties as American Japheth. But he is the trigger of the tribulation. That's what God told me. That's what the Lord spoke to me about. You don't have any authority over that. But the reason why, if you look at our government today, we've not seen anything like this. Not even the Civil War was the kind of division. And the Civil War, in many ways, was something that legal scholars can get their teeth in with respect to states' rights. You know, we have a federal confederation of states and government, but each state has its own rights. And many states felt that they had the right to employ slaves. And many of them used the biblical example that was given to Noah in Genesis chapter 9 to bolster their claim. But the Union forces and the abolitionists would have no part of that, and the Civil War was enjoined. But never was the kind of angst, anger, animosity, lies, deception, brother against brother, government against, never was there the competing forces of hatred, lies, and anger during the Civil War that we have at this present day. If the abolitionists and the pro-slavery states' rights people were on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, where we are now with Tribulation Trump, the Republican Party, and the likes of many people in the Congress or the courts, I would give Tribulation Trump on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 plus. At any rate, Trump has been fact-checked to have lied more than 3,573 times during his tenure as the President of the United States of America. This fact-checking was not done by me, but it was done by somebody in the Washington Post. Now, I want you to listen to this. I'm going to run a clip where this Post statement will indicate how Trump lied, and we'll let you listen to some of the lies he told that you know are lies. And then I will come back and just reduce that and see where we go from here. But Mr. Engineer, roll clip number 2.
But one thing I can promise you this, I will always tell you the truth.
The database started as a project for the first 100 days. It was in part an effort to not let us get distracted by the easily checked false or misleading things the president said, and we could keep our focus on writing substantive fact checks about big issues. And we could just say, oh, well, that thing the president said, we'll just put that in the database. We don't have to do a fact check on it. And then when we were done, readers begged us to keep it going. We kept it going for a year. And at that point, he did 2,000. It seemed manageable. So we said, we'll keep it going for the whole 4 years. And then it kind of ate up our lives because he kept saying more and more false things. The president's lying got worse and worse the longer he was president. So in his first year as president, he made on average about 6 false or misleading claims a day. The second year, it was 16 claims. The third year, it was 22 claims. And then the last year, the fourth year, which of course was a pretty dramatic year, he has averaged 39 claims a day. Now, 39 claims a day is a lot. It's kind of amazing. And we recorded one day in November, the day before the election, he made more than 500 false or misleading claims.
Now, they said, how is he going to do in Pennsylvania? He's going to win Pennsylvania except for the cheating. We figure we have to leave 5% for the cheating.
I mean, I think one reason why it just exploded so much at the end there is that he never really discarded a false claim. There were a few instances, but very few. So he did lots and lots of campaign rallies before the election, and the rallies got longer and longer because he had more and more false things to say, and he just kept building on it. There would be you could see the pattern. He'd have to go through his grievances about the Mueller investigation, then his grievances about the Ukraine impeachment, then his grievances about the coronavirus and falsely claiming everything was fine. The bottomless Pinocchio emerged out of the conundrum we faced because we generally do not like to use the word lie. I mean, lie means that you're getting in someone's head and you're saying that they actually believe what they're saying is false. The problem with Trump is he lives in his own alternative reality. And so he convinces himself that his falsehoods are the truth. In order to qualify for a bottomless Pinocchio, it needs to be repeated at least 20 times.
You have to see these trade deals.
We were losing a fortune.
Hundreds of billions of
We
dollars.
lost $500 billion.
300, 400, $500 billion a year. Billion!
The biggest tax cut, biggest reform of all time.
It's the biggest reduction in taxes in the history of this country. It's the biggest tax cut in American history.
This is the largest tax cut
in the history of our country.
If you look at the bottomless Pinocchio list, it gives you a pretty good guide to the types of falsehoods that the president would say. A good portion, about 25%, are Trump falsely claiming accomplishments that he did not make, or exaggerating about his accomplishment. Nearly 500 times he said he created the best economy in U.S. history.
We also built the greatest economy in the history of the world.
We have the greatest economy ever in the history of the world.
We have the greatest economy in the history of the world. No country had anywhere near us. The best economy anywhere in the world.
The rally on the Mall, January 6th, I counted 107 false or misleading claims.
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing, and stolen by the fake news media. That's what they've done and what they're doing.
One question people often ask, was President Trump a successful liar? I've always said that the proof would be whether or not he won re-election. Because if he won re-election, that would indicate that someone who constantly misled the American people would actually successfully hoodwink enough that he could continue as president. So he didn't win re-election, but he has managed to convince a sizable portion that this utterly absurd statement that he lost the election because of fraud is true. And it's going to take a lot of work to make sure that people understand that it wasn't true. The long-term lessons of Trump, if that kind of misbelief continues to persist, it says that it might indicate that a more skilled wannabe despot could actually succeed where Trump failed.
In the early 1950s, Elijah Poole, who was the son of a Baptist preacher out of Georgia, started a group using the Islamic faith of Muslims, and the group was identified as Muslims from the, if you will, Allah Muhammad ideal but they were specifically known here in America as black Muslims. And even though the ideal teaching of Muhammad, the founder of the religious faith of Islam, was a descendant, if you will, of the Jewish faith and a believer in the biblical tradition of Genesis and the laws of Moses, and but this Elijah Poole changed his name to Elijah Muhammad and put together a religion based on two things. One is that the black man, he's a Hamite, was the first man and the only man that God created on earth. That the first man that God created was a black man and the only man that God created on planet earth. And but later on, the black man, who was the first man and the only man that God created on planet Earth, decided to create a servant in the likeness of a man. So this black man, according to Elijah Poole, who became Elijah Muhammad, leader of the Nation of Islam, black Muslims, stated that this black man created a servant, and that servant would be markedly different from him. So the black man created a white man. So there would be a distinction, that one would know one from the other, that the white man could never be equal to the black man, that he was white and the black man was black. And that's the basis upon which Elijah Poole established the Nation of Islam, though it absolutely flew in the face of the truth of the book of Genesis, about Abraham, about Ishmael, about Muhammad, about Temple Mount. It defied everything in the Bible, and even it defied what was said in the Quran regarding Muhammad and his compatriot prophet Ali. But Elijah Poole was able to sell that and grew the Nation of Islam, black Muslims, past 250,000 members at one time, and perhaps even more. And all the adherents to Islam, Nation of Islam, teaching on Elijah Poole, who then became Elijah Muhammad, believed what Elijah Poole was saying about the black man was the only man created by God, and the white man was created by black man. Why is that important? It's important because the lies that Trump is telling has created also a religious cult. I'm not sure exactly what religion to give them. I'm sure somebody will come along, like Steve Bannon, or someone will come along and give it a name, what Trump has created. With lies, flat out lies. I mean, you would think a person of a reasonable understanding who's been anywhere near the Bible or the Quran would flat out reject what Elijah Poole was saying, that the black man was the only man they created, was created by God, and that the black man created the white man himself in a test tube. Ridiculous, but he sold it. Many people gave their life and died for what Elijah Poole was selling. But Trump is doing the same thing with the, if you will, to use a Elijah Poole or Elijah Muhammad, a black Muslim Nation of Islam example. What Trump is doing to the white man that was created by the black man. This white man that was created is now following Donald John Trump and his lies. Because Trump lies, that's all he does. The reporter we just listened to states that Trump lives in an alternative universe, and he does. Now, whether that could be further defined as that he's got psychological problems, it will be up to a psychiatrist to diagnose. But certainly the reporter went up to that wall that Trump has. He lives in a different world. He lives in his own world. And in his own world, whatever he says is true. I mean, it would be almost impossible for a human being to tell 30,000 lies in 1 year. Oh, out here. Let's just say, for instance, you are a Trump supporter, you're You know, you're with him and you think he's doing good. He's trying to help you because you feel the oppression that's coming from the other side. The Democrats, I understand that, and you need help, and he's the one that's offering the help. So you're not willing to call him a liar, right? Even though you know some of the things he says aren't true. But you feel, well, if you can proceed, if the lies are going to help you, if the lies got him the way he wants, the lies got him to be a billionaire, then so be it. But I'll give you another break here. 30,000 lies. Who has ever told that many lies in 4 years? Let's just say that the white folk, the liberals, are lying on him, saying he told all those lies. But you know there was a lot of untruth that went on. Out of what's 1% of 30,573? What's 1% of that? 300 lies? 300, 3,000? 10% would be 3,000. 1% would be 300 lies, right? If what is being alleged about Trump, that he told 30,000 lies, but you drag it down and say, well, they only told 300. Still, 300 lies to the American people and to the followers, people who put their lives on the line for you every day. 300 lies is a lot of lies. It's a toilet full of lies. 300 lies? If you reduce it to its lowest denomination, at only 1% of lies. Yet he told, allegedly, 30,000. The Bible says in John's Gospel, chapter 8, Jesus was talking to you people you Facebook algorithm people. Jesus was talking to some religious people. And he said to them, your father, you are the children of your father who is the devil, who is a liar from the very beginning. He is the father of lies. But I think even the devil himself will have to up his game to catch Tribulation Trump. And the black Muslims finally dissipated. Malcolm X, said some things about Elijah Muhammad I thought were despicable. I thought that was outside of what a man ought to do to his leader. Up until that point, I had admiration for Malcolm. But when he said the things he said about Elijah Muhammad, I lost my respect for him, for Malcolm. And they found that the whole movement dissipated. There's just a few people left around now that call themselves black Muslims. But the black man wasn't the first man created, and he didn't create physically another life of a white man. He didn't do that. And the Trump group will dissipate, but not before he has left all America and the world at war with fires burning in every pit and anger and destruction. Everywhere you look, there'll be no peace in the valley because of Trump. And his main weapon is not his $1 billion. His weapon of choice is a lie. And his followers have decided that we're going to now live by lies rather than truth. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant, and don't you ever forget it. And just think what my life would be like if I decided to embrace Black Lives Matter, or embrace Obama, or embrace blackness and defend people like Andrew Brown or Michael Brown or Trayvon Martin. Or if I embraced LGBTQ and said, man, and myself perform marriages. Imagine the wealth that I would have. Imagine how often you see me on the news and all the people of the community would be worshiping and saying what a great preacher and great pastor I am. You do know that would happen, right? I want you to consider that I will not and never under any circumstance nor the threat of death ever go anywhere near thinking about doing anything as satanic as that. But what I do want to ask you to do is to consider my righteousness. I'm the Lord's servant. and you might want to help me. You might want to say, well, listen, you know, especially if you're at retirement age and your life is settled and your income's, you're pretty much settled for the rest of your days, but you have excess, so you have what you can give, and you can make this ministry. You can further this word to reach the 50,000 righteous men through your giving. Maybe you have stocks, or you have bonds, or you have properties, houses, or land, or jewelry that you can just give to the ministry, cars, automobiles, paintings. I'm just going to give them to that ministry. If Jesus is coming back to Harlem, to 123rd Street, then I want to give my possessions to prepare a place for him. Jesus said he's going to prepare a place for us, but I'm going to give my possessions, my paintings, my gold, my jewelry, my stocks, my land, my property, my houses, to prepare a place for him when he comes back, that the land would truly be holy ground. For James David Manning is his servant. Thank you for doing that. You'll know how to give. The Lord will show you how, but start doing it immediately. Time is of the essence.
A true man of God. Pastor is a man of God who gives his life to the Lord. He fears no man, and he chooses his battles. He is a very generous man, a loving man, and he truly loves the children in the ATLAH schools. He cares about their well-being, and he cares about the members of the church. Pastor is my father, and I am his son. He only hopes for the best for me. He cares about my well-being, and he is interested in how I am doing. He prays for me. I am a really, truly blessed person. He is a man of integrity and honor. Pastor is a man who I trust, and there are not many people who I trust. He helps me when I'm in need. He does not like to see me in hardships or in pain. Pastor is not a man who moans or gets huffy. He is a strong man, a man of power. He's a man who you will never understand because of what he has been through. What he has done for the people is far beyond what anyone can imagine. That is why I love him, and I know he is a true man of God. I put my life in his hands. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor. Your son Canaan from the UK.